Surface water is an important drinking water source for many areas in Franklin County. The Meridocene River is the main drinking water source for Ottawa, Kansas, and their public or municipal water supply also provisions water to Princeton, Kansas, as well as 3 rural water districts. So the river is being used for drinking water provisioning. Groundwater is also likely a source of drinking water for other rural water users or individual homeowners throughout the county. But in terms of public water supplies, Ottawa has a pretty important connection with the river and with surface water for their drinking water. Water quality is an important aspect of public health and safety that we study. From a drinking water perspective, the Kansas Department of Health and the Environment requires utilities to issue consumer confidence reports or water quality reports each year for public drinking water supplies. And so consumers can then look up those reports on their website. So for example, the City of Ottawa or the rural water districts in the area have to issue reports that detail what the different water quality constituents are and whether they have met those guidelines. And so for the City of Ottawa, as I mentioned, which provisions water then to other rural water districts, in 2020, they had passing grades for all of their water quality constituents, which means that on average, the concentration of different regulated contaminants is below the maximum contaminant level. And so that is then deemed safe drinking water by the state of Kansas. And so anyone can visit their rural water district or city municipality website and find information on this to learn more about the quality of their water. For individuals who may not be on a municipal water source, there is sort of less state information on that. But one really important thing is if you're using well water and you have your own source of water and you live in Franklin County, you can actually go to the Franklin County Department of the Environment and request a water sampling kit to have your water tested, to have the water quality that you're drinking or using in your domestic for domestic purposes tested. And so you can learn more about your water quality even if you are not on city or municipal water. So that's kind of from a drinking water perspective. And then it's also important to think about water quality from an environmental perspective. So in that regard, there are some segments of the Meridocene River, as well as its tributaries, that are listed as impaired for various water quality standards under Section 303D of the Clean Water Act. And so what that means is that for a given water quality standard, if it's listed as impaired, it means it's not being met in that section of the river or reservoir. And it needs to have a plan for how to improve that water quality standard, which is then called a total maximum daily load, or TMDL. So for the Meridocene River, there are a number of segments that are listed as impaired for most commonly for dissolved oxygen and for fecal coliform bacteria. And so this means that in some areas there are oxygen concentrations that are too low to support healthy aquatic life, as well as there are areas where there's too much fecal coliform bacteria for safe human recreation. And so these are areas where then the state and local governments are working with cities, with landowners to try and improve upon the water quality in those sections of the river or in the reservoir. And so this is sort of an process that gets updated every few years, and there's a lot of information on the KDHE website that can provide guidance for where it's safe to recreate, or if there are any areas listed as impaired that in your region.